Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're doing part 4 of the control panel for the Z-axis auto step over on the 618, and we're kind of switching gears today. You know, we're not doing any electrical, we're not doing any programming, we're doing fab work. I've already cut up all my parts and fabbed all my parts, and it's time to weld. But I'm going to walk you through each individual piece on how we made a control panel mount and how we came to this conclusion. I did build one control panel mount as seen here. Hated it. So, and the people over on Facebook and Instagram hated it too. So we're on to version 2.0. We're gonna make one that we like and swings out of the way, and we're gonna build a pretty elaborate control panel mount. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is gonna work out. Like I said, we got everything fabbed up. This is all scrap pile engineering. All these pieces right here started off looking like this. And everything else was just stuff I had laying around here. I didn't buy a single thing for this. I had the Teflon, I had the DOM tubing, I had the shafting, I had all the square stock, rectangular stock. I had all this stuff sitting around. So I actually didn't spend a dime on any of this except some of my labor. All right, let's pull you in and talk about how we're mounting this stuff and what all these elements are doing. And then we'll get to welding this stuff together and get a final fit up on it. Okay, so this is our vertical column that's getting bolted up to the machine, and you'll notice that I've got, flip it over here, we've got some pretty large holes in two places. And that coincides with where I actually drilled into the machine through the sheet metal and into the structure behind the sheet metal. In between the sheet metal and the structure, it's almost an inch. It's quite a bit. So if we were to just drill through all that, just slap a bolt in and tighten it up, we're going to crush the sheet metal and distort all that sheet metal. So let me show you how I got around that. First of all, I need to create a 1-inch space between the between the column and the actual sheet metal. I'll show you how I'm doing that. Here's a piece I've already tacked together. This is a plate washer. You can get it at any hardware store. They call them foundation washers. It fits inside of this 3/16 tubing perfectly. You do have to modify them. All you do is you round the corners on a belt sander. You can see I created a really small notch there to get around the seam inside the tubing. There's your seam. And these little fellas just kind of pop in there after that, as so. And you can weld them from the inside out. You want to keep it clean on this backside here. Anyways, this unit here on the small hole side, it's going to get welded in a line with that hole. We're going to line up and we're going to weld this on. This creates a standoff so that this sits away from the sheet metal, which is exactly what I wanted. I don't want this rubbing up against the sheet metal the whole way. Now, let's flip it here. And remember, we've got a large hole here, which we can use for a socket to go in to tighten our bolt. This is just a piece of all thread with a nut on it. And this is going to pass clean through that. And this is going to be right up against the sheet metal. Now, here's the secret ingredient. You drill the hole in the sheet metal slightly oversized, and you go into your structural member and you drill and tap your inner. And I've got these little sleeves, I call them crush sleeves, but that just sits right in between there, and our sheet metal sits here and our structural member is right here. Now we're able to tighten up and not crush all that sheet metal. We're actually creating a structural tie-in. So this occurs in two places. I've got two holes in this thing. After I get this welded up, I'll show you how all this goes in. But that's our attachment for the vertical column. All right, so let's get this out of here, and I'll show you the upper arm. It's kind of a articulating arm. Well, not really articulating, but it's a 2-pivot arm. So let me get this out of the way, and I'll bring the arm over, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, well, we've got our arm. It's got a crook in it. It's 45 degrees, so that's 22.5 degrees per cut. And we've gone over on the mill, and we've actually taken an end mill down in these holes and made 1 1/4 inch very round holes. I've taken some DOM tubing, which is an acronym for drawn on mandrel. They have a very precise ID and a very precise OD. No seam. They're just nice pieces of tubing. So we've got these. I've got a couple pieces of Teflon here that I cut up, which is going to act kind of as a bushing. I've made all my parts ahead of time. And then 2 more kind of Teflon washers that fit into our DOM as so. And this creates a bushing over on this other side. And then we've got shafting to go through the ID of it. It's just 3/4 shafting. So my bushings were 1 inch OD, 3/4 ID, and it creates that. Our tubing is going to slip in here as so. If I can find that other hole. There it is. Okay, and then this gets welded from the inside. So we leave all this all nice and smooth out here. It gets welded inside, and then only after that can you cap the end. And then we take a bushing and a washer and a shaft. And then we made up a couple of tabs that get welded up against the vertical column. And those are going to go down below and up above, as so. If everything's lined up, of course. There it is. And our shaft is intentionally short so that we can do a fender washer and a cap screw top and bottom. And that will deflect these tabs enough where we can create some friction and give it the feel we want as far as the movement. All right, so that's this is the vertical column end. Let's take a look at the control panel end. That had to be done differently. So let's get this off of here. The arm's the same at both ends, so we can use this as an example. Oh, I'm sure this is going to be a lot easier after all this stuff is welded together. Okay, we've got a plate that mounts to the top of the control panel, and then this shaft is just going to slip in here, and we're already weld prepped and cut back here so we can weld that up and grind it flat. So basically what we've got is a flat plate with a shaft sticking up, and then pretty much the same thing, bushing. It's the same bushing on either end. And then our control panel mount and shaft slides in there. We get another thrust washer on top. And then up here I made a kind of a cupped washer. You can see it's got a recess for the actual shaft. And then we also got a flat spot for this thrust washer to run. And it's contained. It's got a little lip on it that works as containment. Cap screw down the center. Again, adjust your cap screw until you get the friction and the feel that you like. Okay, so that takes care of the arm at both ends. And these are all my plans up till now. And it's welding time. And I like to make all my parts all at the same time, and then just stop what you're doing and weld, weld, weld. Okay. I can flash you back a little bit. Let's go do some machine work on these and show you what it took to make these. And we used expanding mandrels. I thought it was a little interesting, So let's go over on the lathe and take a look at what it took to make these and how we put expanding mandrels to use. Okay, well, we're just getting done with the Teflon bushings, and I thought I'd show you the setup. The machining part of it's pretty boring, but the setup is interesting. What you do is you start off with your blank, get it drilled, get it reamed, and get it cut to length. It's faced at both ends. It's already at the proper length, and we've got a proper size hole. And the hole doesn't even have to be perfectly center. You're going to mount it on this mandrel and finish all your OD work in reference to the ID. So let me unlock our back here and get all this Teflon stringies out of here. And this is mounted on a mandrel. I'll let you look down the barrel of that. And we're just going to take this off of the mandrel so you can see what's going on in there. Let me get my little hammer out here and knock this thing out. There we go. So we've taken it off the mandrel here, and here's our end result with my grubby fingerprints on it now. When working with Teflon, keep your hands clean, man. It just transfers everything. On the mandrel, let's get the strings off of here. And as you can see, we've got a tapered mandrel with centers at each end. These are hardened and ground. And then the expanding part, this is what goes on here. And as you drive it on, so we hit it from this end with a hammer, and you can see this section of the mandrel expanding. So out of a full set, you can fit on any size OD or ID, excuse me, that you want. Over here we've got a hard center, been touched up, 60 degrees. We got a little pin sticking out here that hooks our lathe dog. This is what actually drives the part. Then we just mount it on centers as so, and that's what drives it. Pretty simple. And the beauty of this, we've got our part mounted, and we want to take it out and test fit it, or maybe we want to know what's going on with something, and or we want to get a pair of calipers on it, and we can't do it in the lathe. We can pop this thing out, work on our part, measure our part, and put it right back in, and it lands exactly where you were before. You pick up right where you left off. So that's an expanding mandrel on a center with a lathe dog. I've seen it done a lot of different ways. You can put this end in a four jaw and indicate on it because it's got a flat spot. I'll go ahead and break that all the way down and show you. We got a flat spot out here. This is a flat section of shank. It's got a flat spot, and you can just pop any dog you want on there. But that's what an expanding mandrel is all about. All right, just thought I'd share and how I used it to make the bushings. Okay, well, we're done with all our welding. We even got a coat of primer on it. And here's the two pedestals. Oh, I'll swing that over there so you can see those. So we got our two pedestals there. We already have the studs in the machine. They're passing through the sheet metal. You can see I got a big hole out here. And I need to get my sleeves. And I got them, I'll be right back. Okay, well, we've got our stud installed in the machine. As you can see here, that's the threaded stud out here. And then this is the sheet metal right here. And this stud goes all the way back to a structure behind there. And you can probably catch a glimpse of it right here. There's a sleeve in there flush with the sheet metal. And that sleeve is this long right here. So that's how far off the actual structure was from the sheet metal. And we don't want to crush down on that. So we're just, I'm going to put my bottom sleeve in here. I was getting you zoomed in so you could see this detail of how this is going to work. We've got our tubing all welded and painted. And I can actually maybe turn this around right here so you can get a detail of that. There's our little standoff, and with our square washer put in there. So we're ready to drop these on. The camera might be in my way. I'm going to try to get this started on both of these studs without the tripod getting in my way. Okay. I'm going to back the camera out and kind of show you the rest of it here. Okay. Now we can continue. We can get our washers put in, which is no easy task, but I left the bottom of the tube open, so if I do drop the washer on the way in, I can at least retrieve it. I don't have to keep feeding this tube washers. And that's one, I do believe. And then all we're going to do is load a nut here in a socket and send this one home. All right, we're started there. And we do the same thing at the bottom. These are the gold iridium coated hardened washers. Now see, I dropped one and it came right out the bottom. How convenient. Nope, that's two. Yeah, I got an idea. Blob of pookie right there. Stick the nut on. See if this is even going to work. It might work, it might not. Okay, two little dots of stickum. Stick the washer on the nut. Okay, pretty good. There's my whole assembly. We're going in. All right. Nut and washer. Now, we can tighten up and you guys can watch the sheet metal, what it does. It's not going to do a heck of a lot. It's going to hit that crush sleeve and pretty much just stop. There, we're tight. You watch what it does right here. It's going to go down, it's going to hit the sheet metal. We're tight. All right, done deal. All right, so that's our vertical column attached to the machine. We're ready to mount that upper arm. Okay, so we're kind of set up here to put in our upper arm. Our upper arm is complete, welded. We've got our sleeves in of the DOM tubing. We cap the ends just to keep the Facebook crowd happy. And I'm going to go ahead and put a bushing in it. And climb up on my little step stool here. I've got a dead blow at the ready. I've got a shaft in my pocket. We're going to try to get all this mess in here all in one shot. Oh, I see daylight there. Just got to line up that upper and lower washer. There we go. And we're down in our lower. Well, that wasn't any fun. We have a swinging arm now. Oh man, I got my handprints all over it. Okay, let's get some bolts in there and adjust that tension on that pin because that thing swings way too easy. Let's start with this one down here on the bottom. Remember now, I cut that shaft short, so I should be able to move these in and out and adjust that feel on this thing. All right, now I'm just pulling that shaft down. Let me put the one up in the top. And we can work two sides against the middle. Okay, that's feeling better. All right, we got some friction there. Everyone likes a little friction. Oh yeah, okay, that's good. Pretty much stays wherever you put it. And I haven't even really gronked on those things at all, so. All right, we're happy. All right, what do you think? You want to mount a control panel? Let's do that next. Okay, we've got our control panel here. There's the plate we made. Bushing's already on. I've got the thrust washer and everything ready to go up on top. Got a bolt in my hand. I got an Allen wrench in my back pocket. So with any luck, this should just kind of fall right in there. What do you think? Are we lucky? We're lucky so far. Get a bolt started up on top. Allen wrench. There we have it. All right, I like it. Need to work on the friction surfaces a little bit. So that's what it's all about. That's about where I'm going to be working it right there. It's a nice height that displays right at my eye level. I'm real happy with this. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this. A little bit of fabrication. This still needs a little bit of tweaking. I need to fudge around the vertical column, get it shimmed up and get it nice and plumb, and work on this friction here because I'm tight here. Oh yeah, but I still don't have any. I don't have any friction there. It's free to spin around. So I'm going to work on these friction surfaces here. I need to actually shorten that shaft slightly to get a little more pinch. Okay guys, well that wasn't too bad. We got it in pretty painlessly. I went ahead and put a little bit of blue Loctite on this and adjusted this nut to get the friction I wanted. I want it to pretty much stay wherever you put it. I don't want it to spin around freely. I've got the main column plumbed up. I just shimmed one of those little pedestals down there. I actually used some shipping bands. They work fine for shims. So I just need to plumb that up a little bit. And I'm real happy with it. When the machine's not in use, I can stow directly over the machine. When it's in use, I'm here. So just perfect for working. And then another thing I thought about was when I dress, sometimes I have to get to the back side of the wheel, and I can actually swing this guy around to here, where I can get right here and do my work. And with the radius dresser and things, a lot of times I have to see the back side of the wheel and do some work back there. So it's pretty universal that way. You know, I'm really looking forward to this. This took a lot of effort, but the results are awesome. You know, I love this. And it's a lot better than the knee banger I had down there, a little permanent mount. All right, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of fabrication. We'll catch you on the next one.